Respira por la nariz. Profundo. No hagas esto. Eso es lo peor. Eso. Eso. No tengas miedo, que todo va a salir bien. Ya verás.
¿Estás casada?
No. ¿Y tú?
¿Yo? No.
Pues las dos somos madres solteras. Lo mío fue un accidente, pero estoy tan contenta.
Lo mío también fue un accidente.
Yo no me arrepiento, ¿eh?
Yo sí.
Pobre, no digas eso. Que todo va a salir bien, ya verás. No estás solita, ¿no?
No, estoy con mi madre.
Vale.
Pero ella todavía no se ha hecho la idea.
Pues ya se la hará.
Hello, everyone. I'm Clayton Davis, Film Awards Editor at Variety. Welcome to this conversation with Parallel Mothers writer and director Pedro Almodóvar. Hello, Pedro. And the star of the film, Penélope Cruz.
Hello, nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Penelope, congratulations on a fantastic performance in this film.
Thank you.
Can you speak about, the scene, the clip that we just watched, the scene in question, where you understood these two characters and what they were both going through?
What I was feeling in that scene, it was really interesting because they are preparing to give birth. And in a way, I was feeling like that's what we had to do with these characters. We shot that kind of like at the beginning of the schedule, really, really early. Maybe it was even the first week. It was preparing to what was coming in the weeks after, which was really scary because everything happens to this woman, to Janice. Really, really challenging, but an incredible adrenaline trip, like I look back and I remember it as an incredible experience, but I remember the fear shooting that scene, the fear of the character that is going to give birth. They are alone for different reasons. They don't have a lot of people in their lives. Janice is very happy to be welcoming a baby. Anna is terrified and doesn't really want to, but what happens that day is going to keep them together for the rest of their lives for very peculiar reasons. But everything was mixing, the fear of the character and the fear that I felt of like, oh my God, what would we have to do in the following month? But I love that feeling too.
Pedro, can you talk about how you constructed that in your screenplay?
Sí, desde el principio ya planteo una maternidad dolorosa, digamos, porque las dos están teniendo lo que llamamos aquí en español contracciones y están teniendo contracciones al mismo tiempo. También la coincidencia en las contracciones para mí marca ya el paralelismo que van a tener las vidas de estas dos mujeres. También desde el principio vemos que las dos se sienten de un modo distinto ante su maternidad, aunque hay circunstancias en las que coinciden. Las dos son madres solteras, las dos han quedado encinta accidentalmente, pero Penélope está llena de ilusión y, sin embargo, Ana, la más joven, está deprimida y, como diría, esto, o sea, se arrepiente del hecho de estar embarazada, está traumatizada por este hecho. Y también desde el principio, ya en esta secuencia, establezco que estas dos mujeres van a tener una relación a lo largo de la película, de un modo, como dice el título, paralelo. Y también que desde el primer instante el personaje de Janis tiene una actitud como pedagógica hacia la otra por ser más joven y también por estar tan confusa y tan traumatizada en ese momento.
Penelope, what makes the scene so powerful is not just what is said, it's what's not and expressed through your eyes, both of you, as the way you look at each other, because I think you spoke to it. Anna has like the fear of God in her eyes. And Janice is looking confident, but her situation is just as unknown and her fear probably is a lot more internalized. Did you discuss with Pedro or with Melina about expressing those emotions, like even in the silence?
Well, I have given birth twice, so I know very well what it is. Milena didn't, but she did a great amount of research, and we had so many months of rehearsal with Pedro, you know, talking about every single scene, but also doing every. We did the whole script a few times because we had so many months. The blessing of having all that time is that everything was very clear in terms of the intentions of every silence and every sentence, and because of that incredible amount of time that we had with him. But Janice is terrified too. Janice is terrified too. The thing is that she sees somebody that is even in a more vulnerable position at that place, and immediately she feels this connection and this maternal instinct towards Anna's character, and it just happens. They click and it happens, and they have no idea how their lives are. The destiny has so many incredible plans for them.
When you're I like the last like maybe 4 seconds of the clip, because it moves outside the room and you guys are walking in the hallway and like walking around in labor, and like the world is just going on around you, which is just very symbolic of parenthood.
I think Pedro shot that in an incredible way. Even Alberto's music accompanies that feeling so well of you're going into a limbo and there is no way back, but it's the most amazing limbo, but you're about to get into the biggest adventure of your life. On top of that, it's like these two women are not experiencing very stable lives, very stable situations. So anyway, it's like an incredible internal revolution, but for them even more because of what is about to happen, and because they are already with a lot of pressure, being totally alone, but not because they have chosen to be alone, just because of what has happened to them and a lot of trauma behind.
Yeah, you know, I just try to represent something that I saw in real life. I mean, when I was making the research of the movie, I went to a hospital and I went to the section of maternity of that hospital, and I was very impressed when I saw not exactly. I mean, there were more women than in my movie in that corridor. I mean, in silent, walking like a sleepwalker without going to somewhere specific. And it seems to me at the moment that they were like in a kind of trance, and in silent. So I try to represent it when I did this sequence. And then, you know, I mean, thinking about motherhood or maternity, they are in their own reality. Y yo creo que los hombres, la maternidad yo creo que es uno de los grandes milagros de la naturaleza humana. Y creo que los hombres, aunque lo intentemos, somos incapaces de entender hasta qué punto, hasta entender realmente el hecho de la maternidad. Creo que es algo tan profundo. You know, when I was shooting, there were many sequences that I asked Penelope, because Penelope is a mother. And then I realized that even that I made a lot of researches, that I didn't know so many things about little aspects of to being growing a child. Unfortunately, there were many women on the set beginning for the Penelope, and they were telling me things about it.
Pedro, my dear Pedro, I would like to ask you, what would you have done in Gianni's place? If you had a situation like that, would you have spoken the truth? Would you have stayed quiet forever?
Yeah. You know, I asked myself that too. I think in my case, I will suffer a lot because the situation, I mean, she's not guilty of that situation. But anyway, she has to take a decision about that. And I think that I could live without this guilt complex during more time than she is. So my answer is that I will do the same thing that the Giannis made in the movie, but I will. It will take me more time to decide to tell the truth. Yeah, I think that it is morally it's a difficult question because you know it's a little mean not to say to the other person which is just close to you the truth about that child, but I can understand that un ser que tú has tenido desde el primer día sobre tu corazón y al cual has alimentado y al cual has criado como tu propia hija, creo que es un sentimiento tan fuerte que es casi imposible renunciar a ello. A mí me gustaría que el público cuando vea la película se haga esa misma pregunta, porque es una cuestión interesante de responder. Y por supuesto, lo que me parece imposible es juzgar al personaje de Giannis en esta situación. And in any case, you know, make the character of Giannis richer, more difficult to act, but more interesting and more complex. So, I mean, in a narrative way, I mean, just thinking about the script, the character is much more complex because of that.
This is definitely one of your most beautiful movies, which says a lot because your movies are always so amazing. Can you talk about the colors on the wall in the room in the scene and what they mean to the characters and to how you constructed it?
Well, you know, I mean, the real colors in the hospital, they used to be like white or a kind of gray. And I mean, I don't like white in a movie. I mean, just the background, if it's white, is too tough. And then I forget reality. And as you know, that I like bright colors, I decided for these two colors not to, how can I say, too outrageous, but they are colors that they don't use. Usually, they don't use in the hospital. But I decided because they were warmer with the two girls there. I mean, the yellow and the the green toward blue. They are much more, I mean, also they belong to my palette of colors, but also they are like quieter colors for the sequences.
Penelope, was this perfect timing for you to play this role of Janet's, like having that new kind of outlook on life and being a mother?
I've always had a very strong maternal instinct. And when I look back at Volver, for example, I was not a mother then, but I could understand the threat that this woman goes through, the pain of that extreme situation of domestic violence, you know, and I didn't have to go through that either in my life to understand what a woman in that situation can feel. And that is the beauty of this profession, that, I mean, we just have to 100% go there with research and with our imagination. And when you're in that moment, in that scene, like really go there and don't, without being afraid of experiencing that pain, because the safety is that you are fortunately working with a fiction, but you're gonna do it from a layer up here so that you don't suffer. You have to go in to honor the people and the situations that are unfortunately are not fiction. So that is always my safety net, is like, no, go there, because there are women somewhere right now that are going through that situation. And in that way, it doesn't become, it's not something about you, it's not something about your ego, it's not something about your fear, it's like just one way to do it. You have to go through that and experience for minutes, for seconds, or for hours in that day, or whatever days it takes, what it would be to have a life like that, or to have a situation like that. I love it so much, and I think if we were having this conversation when I'm 90, I would be saying exactly the same things, because it's always something new. Is the most fascinating thing about, that is why I love acting so much.
Absolutamente. De hecho, a mi edad es una pregunta que nunca me había hecho, pero que ahora me la hago, y es ¿cuántas películas me quedan por hacer? A mí me gustaría que fueran la mayor cantidad de películas posibles. I'm conscious that now I'm like at the beginning, like in a hurry. I mean, I really need to make more movies than before. And I think this is because, I mean, the passing of time. That and actually, I mean, the last 2 years with the lockdown, I work more than ever. I mean, I wrote this script after I shoot a short movie with Tilda Swinton. I prepared this movie, and now at the same time that I'm making the promotion, also working at least the next 2 projects. I don't know why. It seems to me that I don't have time, or I don't know, that I feel more in a hurry to make movies. So yes, I will keep on making movies when Penelope will be 19.
Yeah.
That and it's good because at that moment I will be also very old. So I will write a character for this kind of people.
Thank you, Pedro Almodóvar and Penelope Cruz, for joining us for this conversation today. Again, I'm Clayton Davis, Film Awards editor at Variety, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clayton. Thank you.